But the fact that Justin Jefferson is now saying, he wants to break the bank, I don't know if there's any more money out there. So this is going to be interesting offseason.
Yeah, Ron, what'd you make of those comments? I mean, to me, it's kind of sounded fine. Like he wants to be part of the Vikings. He also wants to make a lot of money. And those, that are good at the cap tell me that you can even if he's breaking the bank, you can at least structure it so that it's light up front. So you can maybe save money early and then it piles up late. But what'd you make of those comments from JJ?
They're fine. I mean, he can make them, but it's also, I mean, you look at a lot of men and women. There's a lot of men that see these women and they just try to say, this is what I want out of a woman. This is what I'm going to get out of her. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh, you marry somebody else. Yeah, because she didn't want to give you that. Like, so you could say whatever you want, and Justin Jefferson can say that about the Vikings, but this might not be the marriage for them. If the number is too high and it's going to take them out of, like, you can't pay Kirk, TJ Hockenson, Justin Jefferson, and somebody on defense. Like, they're going to have to figure out where they can, pick and save and what's going to matter the most. I mean, when you think about Randy Moss leaving the Vikings, it happens a lot where eventually you just can't afford one of the two. Saquon Barkley and the Giants. Like, you can't pay Saquon and Daniel Jones. Like, it doesn't work in the way this works, the salary cap, where you look at the Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes. There's not a lot of big name numbers out there for them right now that are like, oh, they're boggling down their money. When you look at the 49ers, Brock Purdy is cheap. So it's one or the other. And that's where the Vikings are going to have to kind of figure this out. Like, is it time to move? If you're paying Justin a ton of money, you're probably moving on from Kirk. And I think that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. Like, it just all can't work out. Like, unless you're Thanos and you got a glove that you can just do whatever you want. Other than that, it's just not enough money out there for that.
The Infinity Stones are all void years.
Quick straw poll of the room.
You take the green stone and then you just rewind time and you go back and you find other stuff. There
you go. If Jefferson were to be traded, would this be a more devastating departure than Randy Moss? I say yes.
I think it'd be an instantly fireable offense to trade.
No, I don't think it's worse than
what are
Randy
you
Moss.
getting back? Are you getting, a Troy Williamson and
that's a good
Harris?
Point. Yeah.
Or am I getting 3 first?
Yeah, you're getting draft picks you can miss on. Yeah, that's the deal.
He could even be a boat.
But just losing
let's take the best player on any offense that isn't a quarterback in the league and turn him into a whole bunch of like high risk assets. You don't get to be mad when that dude turns into Lewis Cine. Like,
yeah.
I mean, for Justin Jefferson to move on and trade him,
the next Jalen Reagor. Yeah.
I mean, to trade Justin Jefferson. Here's the thing: I don't even know if that's the answer. If it's like, can they find a deal that gets him a ton of freaking money up front? He still feels like he's the highest paid guy, or he's had the biggest contract ever for signing bonus. Something stupid like, hey, here's $100 million signing bonus day one, and then let's trickle in the rest. Like, let's give you small amounts. Your overall ends up being, call it 150, but maybe it's $100 million signing bonus, like something absolutely stupid that they could figure out a way to balance it.
Not the worst idea.
An unrestructurable contract.
I'm just saying, just figure out a way to move it where, hey, you're going to get your 100 mil, but here's the other pieces of this money. Like, can you get us to an NFC Championship game? Can you get us to a Super Bowl? All that will have all the escalators you want to get you to 200 million, if you want to call that. But you got to get us to a Super Bowl. You got to get us to an NFC Championship. We got to make the playoffs. Like, we can't just pay you a ton of money and we're gonna, be 7-4. Staring down the barrel of the Lions.
Are you proposing like a $20 million per year escalator for every Super Bowl appearance and playoffs?
Something, I don't know. He's got to there's ways to do it. Like, if you look at Michael Vick's old contract, when people talk about that one, like, his was hugely elevated to like escalators. We had the same agent. That's the only reason I knew that. And when you look at Octagon, go back to Octagon Sports, Michael Vick contract, when they're like, oh, this is the biggest quarterback contract. Half that stuff was like incentives. And that's how you do it though. Like, you put that carrot to say, hey man, you got to show up for 80% of your workouts. You got to show up for, 95% of this. You got to be healthy day one of practice. You got to do, like, you could put a lot of stuff on there to make sure, you don't end up paying this guy and then he's out for, 2 more years or something, like Deshaun Watson.
The problem is, either you put in incentives that he's already hit, in which case it already counts against the cap, or incentives that he has no control over. like winning a Super Bowl, right? Which his agent would just like not agree to. Right?
I mean, but you can still throw it in there to make it a historical contract because we won't.
Oh no, okay,
that
you're
language.
right.
So you know what I'm saying? Like there's a thing.
true.
Like sometimes people have to like do
Yeah.
certain things to make their partner feel good. So in a marriage, what you don't want is for the Vikings to feel robbed, and then at every turn, the organization is like, oh, we got to move this contract. This is not working for us. We're not going to the playoffs. We didn't pay to do a ton of money, and the only things we're getting from this is commercials and gritty. Vice versa, you can't give him a contract where everybody in the media is like, oh man, the Vikings punched Justin Jefferson in the stomach. Like that's so weak, man. Like
Don't Danielle Hunter this.
And then you get the like, let's go look at the Buffalo Bills. Oh, let's go look at the Eagles. Oh, let's go look at the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson is going to be like Tom Brady and Randy Moss all over again. There's a lot of factors in that. So
don't do that. Don't.
It feels really good. We're really primed here to be mad no matter what happens.
Right.
That's
but you got to find a way to make him happy. So when I say
mistake here was drafting a good
historical,
player, it sounds
you
like.
can give him 150 million. Like if you have 150 million, you give it to him, and then you throw some incentives in there to say, hey man, you got a $200 million or $220 million contract. And you're right, Arif, like you could throw some stuff in there that he has no control over. Like, hey, if you go to the Super Bowl, man, we're going to give you a $5 million bonus. If you go to NFC Championship game, we'll give you $1 million bonus. Like there's a lot of things. Hey, if you get 2,000 yards, every year you get 2,000 yards, here's your bonus. Like there's a lot of things you can throw, or 1,800, then there's 1,900, then there's 2,000 yards. You break that record, here's the money. Like you make the Pro Bowl, you get all pro. Like there's a lot of things you can throw in there that are attainable. And then there's some stuff that, like it literally comes down to your team, but you still have a chance to get it. So
you know who would absolutely agree to a contract incentive for an impossible amount of yards? Adrian Peterson. Like, there's a bonus in here for 2,500 rushing yards. He's like, got it. I'm good.
He would today.
Or 100 receiving yards, which is more unlikely.
Right. So there's a lot you can do there. I mean, like catches, you can throw catch incentives in there. You can throw, but and again, it's all about cap and how can Rob Brzezinski look at the cap space and massage it to say, hey, look, man, we gonna give it. It's guaranteed. Here's your guarantee, but can we spread this out over? And then you come up with a number that him and his agent agree with, like because you don't want to sign a 10-year contract, and you also don't want to sign a 4-year contract. Like you got to find a number that works for both parties. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Now, if he wants to be a lifetime Viking, didn't Patrick Mahomes do that? Didn't he sign a 10-year contract? Like 450 million or something?
Is bad for him.
So I mean,
they'll restructure.
I'm not saying Justin Jefferson do that, but there's always weird things out there like that. You can just do something crazy to say I'm a Viking for life. And then like the dude, the Morris twin, he got the keys to the city in Philly, and then a month ago or 2 weeks ago, and he got traded yesterday. Like you just got the keys to the city, you cried on the podium, and then they traded you 2 weeks later. Like,
I don't follow the NBA at all. Are we talking about the Kansas Marcus and Markieff Morris?
Yes. Yep. He got the keys to the city in Philly for the 76ers.
Right.
Wow.
They had him on the podium. He was crying. He was so happy because of all the stuff he does for the community. And they were telling him, oh, we're never going to do this. They did the same thing to
City of Love.
The other dude for the Bucks. They had him, he was on a podcast with the team talking about, I love the Bucks. I love the Bucks. And then they traded him to the Trailblazers for Damian Lillard. So like, that's the thing. Justin Jefferson can sign a 10-year deal and say he loves the Vikings. He never wants to leave. Yeah, he never wants to leave Minnesota. And then they can restructure or trade him 2 years from now. So yeah, I mean, I just think you got to make both parties happy, but you do need to stroke his ego a little bit. Like for somebody to get on camera and say, I want the bank to be broken. Like you got to stroke his ego to keep him happy.
Remember when he said a couple of years ago when people were asking him about the Tyreek Hill contract and he said, I'm not too fond of money. Boy, are we putting that to the test.
Okay, how long until the Shohei Ohtani structure meets the NFL, comes to the NFL? Is that even possible?
New CBA.
I don't
fully guarantee.
It can't be deferred in the NFL.
Yeah, I think the CBA prevents it. Yeah,
because there's a salary cap. Like Bobby Bonilla was one of the first ones to do that. So it's not Shohei Ohtani. It's Black History Month. Bobby Bonilla did that first. The blasphemy of you to do that on Black History Month, to forget the most historic contract ever by a baseball player, was Bobby Bonilla, who deferred his money. He walked so Shohei Ohtani could run. He definitely got it started. But yeah, he deferred his money. I think he has like 4 or 5 more years left on his.
Yeah, I was about to say we're nearing the end of.
Yeah, it's coming to the end,
of
but he got like $1.1 million every single year and has not touched the diamond because that's how they structured. They deferred it. So Shohei Ohtani wants to do the same thing. I'll defer my whatever $700 million, but I'm gonna get it. So give me whatever you give me right now, $2-3 million. I'll take it. But yeah, football, you can't do it because of the salary cap and then the CBA, because what they don't want is guys in the NFL to get done dirty and never see that money because they snorted coke and killed somebody in Vegas. So yeah.
Hey, I met Bobby Bonilla in a New York lobby, and I saw him pay his hotel bill, and he pulled out the biggest wad of cash. I'm like 12.
You're kidding.
The biggest
he paid
wad
his
of
hotel
cash.
bill in cash.
Cash.
Hey,
money.
that he didn't put the hotel under his name. That's why you can't have no records of I was here.
I don't want him to know what I rented on pay-per-view last night.
But you can put a credit card down there and say, no, I'm paying cash. Like that was just a